Hey, so welcome to the channel and kind of give you a little introduction to what this series is going to be about. This is our transatlantic cruise across the Atlantic, thus the transatlantic part. And we will be cruising on the Norwegian Epic. So if you are looking for like a ship review about the Norwegian Epic itself, this is not really the right one for that. There's plenty of those out there, and I highly encourage you to watch those from experienced cruise critics and things. That will show you a walk around the cruise ship, and you know what to expect and where different things are. And again, I encourage you to watch those. I always watch those a couple times, and even the night before a cruise, just to kind of get an idea of the layout of the ship. Yeah, they'll give you deck plans and things like that when you get on it, but there's nothing like kind of seeing it, somebody walking you through and telling you where different things are. So I encourage you to watch those kind of things, but that's not what this is. This is a review of a transatlantic cruise. I haven't really seen very many videos like this, so I thought it would be important to document and see if it's really worth it. Is this really a transatlantic cruise, or is this just a repositioning cruise that we're along for the ride on? Are you getting your money's worth on this? So we will find out together. This could be really exciting, could be very interesting, and it could be disappointing. So we will see. I can tell you by our first day alone, it was a little disappointing. So I will show you that right now. But first, we flew into LaGuardia Airport from DFW, and we tried first class for a change. It was only a couple $100 more, and it was well worth it just for the food alone. So if you ever have the opportunity, and if it's not a major upgrade, you ought to give it a try. And when we flew into LaGuardia, they had this cool water feature. I'll just kind of let you listen to it and how serene it was. All right, so we're in New York City to start what is going to be an epic adventure, and we will soon be boarding what is aptly named the Norwegian Epic. For now, we're in this little brief layover in New York City. And so we stayed at the Omni Berkshire place there in Manhattan, right off of Madison Avenue and 51st. And in the morning, I went over here to Toasties on East 51st, had me this great little breakfast sandwich, and then just went for a little walk up East 51st Street. And I got to see Radio City Music Hall down the street there, and then St. Patrick's Cathedral is right here. So I encourage you to go out for a little walk in the morning. It's way nicer and more walkable than I imagined. So yeah, you need to stay tuned for this trip. What we are certain is going to be an epic adventure, and this trip will be taking us kind of all over Europe, and we're going to go see Portugal and Spain and Italy and France, Switzerland, London, Scotland, Ireland. Of course, I got to go to Liverpool to see the Beatles. And so yeah, stick around. This could be fun. And then for lunch, I guess, we walked down to Essa Bagel, just a couple blocks down and a block over or something like that. Be prepared for a long line, but it is a really neat bagel place. My wife wanted a genuine New York City bagel. You kind of get this big selection, and it basically makes you a custom bagel sandwich. Then, of course, we walked down to Times Square and got to see all the lights and all the people and the characters that are out there for you to get your pictures, and you know, beware of the pickpockets. But we did find a Swatch store, and being kids of the 80s, we both had to buy a Swatch watch while we were here in Times Square. So really interesting place. And of course, while we're here, we had to go see a Broadway musical, and so we went and saw Death Becomes Her. If any of you remember that movie from the 90s. And then we went over to this pizza place for a fantastic big pizza and calzone. And now we're ready to get on our cruise ship. And so we checked out of our hotel and prepared to get on the cruise ship and leave the United States for the next 2 months. So this is our room, 8184. This is what they call, I guess, a club suite. Kind of a little surprising, considered what we're used to on even Carnival and most of the other Norwegians, that it doesn't have like a regular bathroom. It's got this shower curtain thing that, there's your bathroom. But it does have doors, I guess, on the toilet and the shower, but kind of different. And there's a balcony out here. And if you are going to go on a cruise for 2 months, you are definitely going to want a balcony so you can see the sights. Just sitting on our own balcony while we're sitting there in the port still, getting to look out the New York skyline. And it's as we're leaving New York at nighttime, the lights come on and getting to see the sights of New York, and then cruising down through the bay, harbor, whatever it's called, and getting to see the New York lights at nighttime. So definitely get a balcony room. Get to see the Empire State Building and the World Trade Center lights, and even the Statue of Liberty as we cruise down. And maybe take some note of the light show going on in the background there behind the Statue of Liberty, because that will become pertinent information later on as we continue this discussion about the cruise. But regardless, seeing Statue of Liberty from this view that many immigrants had seen was just a really neat experience. You know, I could do a walking tour of the cruise ship, but there's other places out there for that. This one is to talk about a transatlantic cruise and what it's like. And so, well, let's get into that. I mean, yeah, there's casinos, and yeah, there's views and sights, and there's lots to see. But let's talk about why we're still stuck here in the Hudson Harbor. Hey, good morning, and here's our update on our epic adventure, and we're gonna change the name of this to the epic fail. I think first day and a half was kind of a fail, and I kind of run you through that real briefly. What happened? Show you some pictures here. We're supposed to leave New York at like 7 p.m. on March 31st. About, I think, 7:30, we finally pulled out of the port. Then around 9-ish, the captain dropped the anchor before we're even out of the bay area there, before we were even off the Hudson. Dropped the anchor. Apparently they had not taken on enough fuel. They put the blame on the fuel barge, saying the fuel barge didn't bring enough fuel. I don't know, but it seems weird. I think they probably shouldn't have even left port. They could have let us get off the ship and, you know, hang out in New York for the day, and then come back onto the ship to, you know, at night. I don't know, but it just seemed like poor planning. Seems like they're putting the blame on anybody but themselves, and this kind of is following kind of a line of bad decisions or bait and switch by NCL, which I think is becoming more of a habit by them. When we first booked this cruise a year ago, we were supposed to stop. Let's see. We were supposed to do, first stop would have been Royal Navy Dockyard in Bermuda. That didn't happen. We were supposed to go to 4 days at sea, then Ponta Delgada, Azores. That's not going to happen. Then a day at sea, then Lisbon, Portugal. Then a day at sea, and then Barcelona. Okay. Coincidentally, right after everybody paid their because you know your cruises, you have to have it paid by like January 1st or whatever it was, and like 90 days before the ship. So like the day or two after that, everybody gets emails saying that the itinerary had changed. They had cut out the stop in Bermuda, and they changed the one in let's see, they changed the Ponta Delgada Azores to, well, let's see, to, I'm going to mispronounce this, Funchal, Portugal. So we were going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days at sea, then a stop in Portugal, then 2 days at sea, then Palma, Mallorca, Spain, then Barcelona. Okay. Now, yesterday, because of we missed an entire day, so they were going to have our ship fueled up. The captain said he'd have it fueled up that night. Around 3 a.m. we'd get back to sea, but because there was a lightning storm, the fuel barge was not able to fuel us up, so we ended up not leaving till noon the next day. So we spent an entire day sitting in the New York on the Hudson River, sitting on the Hudson River. So then we get a notice saying we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They had to cut out the stop in Funchal, Portugal. They had to cut that one out. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus the extra day in New York sitting doing nothing. So we have 9 days at sea now, and we go straight to Palma de Mallorca, Spain. So we have lost significant stops on our itinerary, significant changes, and of course they do not compensate you for that. Sure they do. They give you a little $50 credit and $150 per room or something like that, but they're not really compensating you for your port fees and all of that. This is for the inconvenience, or are they giving you for the port fees and there's no compensation for inconvenience? And I understand, everybody understands it's in the contract that, you know, it says that the itinerary can change due to weather and unforeseen events and all that, but I think that failing to get enough fuel before you even leave your initial initial port, that does not seem like something that's uncontrollable. So this is why NCL is going down. They've really cut all of their amenities. They've made a lot of changes. They're trying to save a lot of money. They've cut out pretty much all of their Broadway shows. They used to be known for their great shows and their great food and their great drinks. And there's a particular whiskey that my wife likes, a Japanese whiskey, and it is listed on the menu twice. Once as an exact same one, listed once as a free one, and once as you have to pay a $25 surcharge on it. And you can argue with those guys all day long, and they keep saying, no, that's a different one. And we're like, well, where is it? Show it to us. Well, they don't have it to show it to you, but they insist that it's a different one. So I don't know. There just seems like a lot of little bait and switch stuff going on here. And we have been proponents of NCL. Anybody that ever asks what our preference is, we always tell them go to NCL. But I'll be honest, after this one, we are going to be starting to look at all the other ones. We've done Royal Caribbean, we've done Carnival several times, we've done NCL several times, but I think we're really going to start looking at Princess and Virgin, a lot of the other ones, and figure out why it is that NCL is losing to their competitors. So stay tuned for our epic misadventure, our epic fail adventure. But we're hopeful that it's going to get better. We got 9 days on a ship, which is not the worst thing in the world, but we shall see. Please like and subscribe if you are interested in this. I'm going to make a little small series out of this, otherwise this will be a 30-minute video or an hour video. So we'll do some of us on the excursion, and then some of us on the boat. So we'll do a little bit of both, and then once we get to Europe, we will do a whole separate series about our adventures across Europe. So as a side note, on day 2 here, I decided to drop my tablet and shatter the screen. So yay me. I don't really know exactly. I think there's a Best Buy, maybe right there's a Best Buy. I don't know. So I think Amazon delivers out here. I have Amazon Prime. All right, so kind of continuing on with like, well, what's the experience like? Well, again, get the balcony. This could be your view for, well, 10 days. You know, they do have a Beatles tribute band, a Cavern Club. You can go listen to this Beatles band. You can go to the Maltings Whiskey Bar. You can go listen to the Beatles band, you know, different night. Or you can go to that Maltings Whiskey Bar. And they do have food. They have lots of great restaurants and things. They do have a Beatles band. You can go listen to them on a different night. The line is super long because there's not much other entertainment. They do have this other band that'll come in there and play there at the Maltings Whiskey Bar. And or hey, I got an idea. Let's go listen to Paul there in that Cavern Club. They were really good. I'm not knocking the guys or their quality, but when there's only like 1 or 2 activities on the ship, you got this other band that's pretty decent. You got our guy that we listened to there at the Maltings Bar, or you got the Beatles. That's kind of the extent of the adventures, because of the way Norwegian has kind of cut back on all their shows. Of course, they do have food, and they also have food, and then, you know, you can always have food. Now, towards the end of it, once we got south, as we're starting to go in there to the Straits of Gibraltar, the weather got a little better, and people were actually able to go outside to the deck and get some views and get some sun, and that, of course, made it a little less crowded inside the ship, because that was the biggest problem, is when it's cold and rainy, then everybody is crowded inside the ship, and there's just not enough stuff to do to keep everybody entertained. So it gets a little crowded. But we eventually reached our destinations, and like I said, watch other upcoming videos. They will be a different format than this. They will actually be tours of these cities. This one is really just talking about this cruise itself and what it's like. So here's the funnest part of a cruise, is the disembarkation. Is that what we call it? So this one, all morning, the line goes all the way down around the entire ship. Apparently there was some slow down with the ticket people, or I guess the port authorities, and so they've supposed to start getting people off the ship at like 7:30 a.m. and instead it was about 8:30 when they finally gave the all clear for people to start coming down. And so of course 8:30 is when you have to be out of your room.
So why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
So even those who weren't ready to leave the ship had to leave their rooms. So everybody is basically now having to find some place to just hang out. And so most people, they'll always go up to like wherever the cafe or wherever the buffet is. That's usually open, and you still get a couple drinks and things like that. A little morning. What's the other thing with the orange juice and the champagne? People get those mimosa things. That's what it is. And so anyway, but we came out of our room. We just came down here to our favorite spot, which is the Maltings Bar. We just came down here. There's couches and comfortable chairs, and we decided to just sit here and watch the crowds. Watch people getting in like fights because the lines are super long, and so people will try and cut in because, you know, they were expecting to be off the ship at like 7 a.m. And they've probably got plane flights, which is a horrible plan. Don't ever book your plane flights for the morning and just assume you'll be able to get to the, oh, well, it comes into port at 6:45, so we'll get off the boat at 7:15 and we can be on our plane by 8:30. It does not ever work. So fortunately, we've got a train out of Civitavecchia, which is where this actually ended up here. It's not really Rome, but it's a little town called Civitavecchia. Yeah, and so we'll take our train from there to Rome and then onward on our journey. But all these people are trying to get off the ship at the same time. The captain actually came across, announced a little bit ago that because of the port authorities were taking so long, they didn't want people coming. So we're on 7, which is where we're disembarking from. They didn't want everybody coming from like 15 down to 7. Because 15 is where the cafe, the buffet thing is, and so everybody's up there hanging out. And then whenever their numbers get called or their color gets called, they come down to 7, and then they get to get off the ship. Well, he actually closed off deck 7 for anybody who wasn't already on 7. So people are like upstairs panicking, and so we still saw people, even though the doors were closed. I still saw people coming through the doors, and like I said, people were cutting in line, and we saw this lady who's like, "You're not cutting in line in front of me," and she's like, "Line's back there." And then we see these other people, and they're like, "Hey, can we just cut in right here?" And a couple people were like, "No," and then eventually they'll get in. So it's crazy, it's fun, it's entertaining. I highly encourage you to just find a spot, watch the show. Don't be in a hurry to get off. Like I said, we've got till 11:50, 11:48 for our train to Rome, and it's only like a 10-minute, if that, shuttle ride over to the train station. We could walk, but it's kind of misty out, so we'll take a little shuttle over to the train station. And like I said, we got time, so we're just going to sit here and watch the show. But this is my kind of the final wrap up of the cruise. Part, the transatlantic voyage from New York to Rome, around the Mediterranean. It has been adventurous. It's been fun. The Mediterranean cruise is beautiful. It's amazing. Separate videos of each one of the different ports. So this video isn't longer than it needs to be. Transatlantic is quite a trip, as I said before, just kind of in review. Downside of a transatlantic journey, it's 15-day cruise. Lots of stuff can go wrong in a 15-day cruise. So just be prepared that things can go wrong. One minor mistake, one minor change can change a lot of stuff. And getting in late at different ports, that messes up people's shore excursions. That happened a couple times. The longer the cruise, the more stuff can go wrong. So that's the downside. Good side was, like I said, once we finally embraced the suck, embraced the what was about to happen, that we were stuck on this boat for 10 days. Once we embraced that and got over the initial shock that we were missing some of our ports, it really wasn't bad. Just sitting, it's forced relaxation. We had nothing to do but relax, and so just relax. There's lots of days we just hung out in the room almost the entire day. Like, we would sleep late, or I would get up and go have breakfast and come back, and sometimes I go have a cigar, or sometimes I would go and do something, and then I'd come back to the room and wake my wife up because she'd sleep in, and then we'd go have lunch, and then we'd come back to the room and take naps, and then maybe go to the bar and have a drink, maybe not, maybe just go straight to dinner. So there was a couple of days that we were just like, we hung out in the room all day long, and just leave to go have lunch and dinner, and it was wonderful. So forced relaxation. You got to have a balcony in order to be able to really do that, because the rooms are not comfortable on the Norwegian Epic. Somebody was telling me that this was like a design that they tried. They were planning on making three of these, and apparently after making this one, they had so many negative reactions to the floor plans of the bedrooms especially, that they canceled the other 2. I don't know if that's true or not, but I believe it, because this isn't I'm not going to say it's a bad ship. It's just the worst layout that I've come across on any Norwegian ships. On any ship, Carnival, Norwegian, Royal Caribbean. I just don't care for the floor plan of the bedrooms, and I don't care for the deck plans around the rest of the ship. It's odd. then lastly is really disappointed in Norwegian in that they cut out so many of the shows, the activities. For such a long trip, it gets really, really boring if they're not going to do their big fancy shows every night. So, I would not discourage anybody from doing this. It has definitely been an epic adventure, and it's just the beginning to our epic adventure. So stay tuned, like and subscribe. Look for my links to the other videos of each of our stops around the Mediterranean, and then watch for our when we get to Europe. Because for after we do all the Mediterranean, we are then we are now today getting on our train to Milan by way of Rome. Spend the night in Milan, then the next night we'll go to Bern, Switzerland, which is the capital city of Switzerland. Spend a couple days there, so videos about that. Milan and probably Bern will be together. Train over to Paris, video for that. And then up to London, video for London and Liverpool, so I can go see the Beatles. And then pull, don't push, pull. And so then up to renting our car, going up around Scotland and Ireland. So stay tuned for each one of those, and then plane flight from Dublin back to Dallas Fort Worth. So stay tuned.